Okay, just caught the off ramp to. We're heading towards San Mateo Canyon, and man, oh man, has all this changed? Absolutely changed. I don't recognize any of it, but it's all brand new. Used to be all orange groves and farms. I mean, I kind of grew up coming out here all my life, and this is a shock. But anyways, we're pointed due north. We're gonna go through the most western part of this little mountain ridge here, what they call the Badlands, and am I even on the right road? Yeah. It's gonna dump us into San Mateo Canyon, and Southern Pacific line will be running right in front of us, east to west, left to right on your screen. We'll make a right and head due east, and then film as much as I can of the line, the Southern Pacific sunset line, with the sun behind us, so we don't just get shadows on the screen. And I may or may not make a U-turn and film coming back, but once again, you're going to get shadows on the screen, and that's not fun. The vibrant colors are going in the direction we're going to go right now. I'll stop yapping, and guys, enjoy. Oh, I'm not going to lower the windows. It looks pretty and stuff, but man, it's hot like an oven out there. Yeah, we're going to close the windows, and you run AC and just enjoy the drive. Guys, you railroad fans out there, especially Southern Pacific fans, the city of Colton, city of Redlands would be to our left, due west, and due east to our right. The immediate right will be, as you climb up the hill at Summit, will be the city of Beaumont, followed by Banning, Cabazon, then Palm Springs. It's a drive to get, it's about an hour to get to Palm Springs. But we're at this is it. Southern Pacific line is right in front of us. It's actually Union Pacific now. We had a big train wreck here many years ago, right in front of us. What they did is they buried the locomotives. They scrapped all the freight cars and buried the locomotives. I know, because we were there. So the line is dead ahead. It'll follow us to our left for a little distance, a few miles. Then we cross over and the line will be to our right. I'll try and tilt the camera here so you can see the tracks. But that's the old Southern Pacific Sunset Route. This is Beaumont Canyon. This is Timoteo Canyon. Beaumont Hill, I'm sorry. This is Beaumont Hill. It looks flat, but we are on a grade, and it lasts miles and miles and miles. Southern Pacific or Union Pacific trains to this day require the use of helper units. Sometimes pushers at the end. Sometimes mid-train helpers. This is a tough line. Very rare passenger train, maybe early in the morning, but it's all freight, heavy-duty freight, all containers now. Once had a bunch of, there's a train right to our left, right there for you guys. Sorry. Once had a ladies' goat farm here. Once had a ladies' goats escape, and they all came out into the highway here right about this time in the afternoon. And me and my fiance at the time, yeah, along with another kid, we stopped and we corralled the goats, got them back in her property, closed the gates. Okay. So this train is waiting to cross over at the crossovers up at oh, I forgot the names of all the spots on the railroad now, but it's just up ahead. If you guys have the famous Beaumont Hill book, you can use that as a reference. The only thing is I don't remember the names of the spots. I will tell you something though. The wooden telephone booth they had at that crossovers up ahead, which goes back to steam times, I went up there and I swiped it because they were knocking everything down, destroying everything. And it was full of engineers' initials and dates because they'd be bored waiting on the phone and they'd start carving on the wood and the inside. I donated that to the Paris Trolley Museum years ago. I'm pretty sure they shit-canned it because it's not a well-run outfit at times. And I donated a bunch of other Southern Pacific stuff to them, all from the steam era. But like I said, they're about revenue, and so to them, the flashy new stuff is what brings kids and what brings revenue, not old, for heaven's sake, Southern Pacific steam era artifacts. I should have kept that stuff. Okay, this is a UPS train. It has a bunch of UPS trailers on the spine flat cars and containers. There you go. Train is stopped because they're either adding on helpers right there, right up ahead, or they're cutting off the helpers. See that? This is a fun line. If you love railroads and if you love Western Roads, Southern Pacific, UP, this is a fun line. This line is fascinating, and I spent every Saturday of my life for the past, through the 90s and 2000s, right here with my buddies who are all gone. Rest in peace, my brothers. And but this is a fascinating line. And so's Cajon Pass. We'll try and do that next weekend. Enjoy. I'll keep quiet now. I'll try. Like a freaking parrot. Okay, the line crosses over the highway here, or we cross over the line here right up ahead. One time, this field to our right, you can't see it in the camera, but it was all green, full of sheep. Full of sheep grazing, hundreds of them. We drove by here with my fiance, and she loved the cute little sheep, and they were all doing the bah, bah. So we went out, way out in there, and we I guess I can turn it now because the track's gonna cross over that field there. She played amongst the sheep, and we videotaped, and she fell in love with me because how can baby sheep going bah, not make a girl fall in love. You know what I mean. Kind of like roses or expensive jewelry. Okay, we're crossing over the Sunset Route. And the line is much longer. We kind of got on it halfway. We're not going to do the back way. You can't really see the line that good anymore. It's covered with houses and stuff. But this line here, this part sure is enjoyable, huh? I notice everyone's in a freaking hurry today. You would have never seen that years ago. I don't know what the movie Fast and Fury has done to everybody, but everyone's a fast and a furious. There's a train coming down the hill right there. I'll get you guys set up for that. You don't. It'll be rare to see any painted Southern Pacific gray and red units anymore. You know, there weren't houses here to our left last time I was here. Wow. Down at the Port of Long Beach, every once in a while you still see gray and red units, but they're the Dash 8 and Dash 9, and they're usually on coal trains and not on point. They're distributed. But anywhere else you don't see them anymore. They're pretty much gone, which is freaking sad. There's a park right there. I may come back here and play my guitar. Actually, I'm gonna play my guitar right there. There you go. We're still on a grade. We're still climbing. Once upon a time, you would have seen this line was full of. This is a freight only line, so you would have seen mostly freight only line. You would have seen cab Fords, MT3s, MT4s, 210-4s, de-skirted GS4s, all sorts of cab Fords, really. This is a big, huge cab Ford line, and a lot of steam helpers. And they would cut them off up ahead at the summit, the city of Beaumont. I'll take you up there. The old Southern Pacific Sunset Route through Beaumont Hill, San Mateo Canyon. Those of you who are asking, how's this Mexican dude here in love with railroads? And I'm a huge historian of our lines out here, but my grandpa, during World War II and then during the Korean War, during what they called the Bracero program, U.S. government would bring over Mexican workers to work in farms, fields, some factory jobs, labor jobs, railroads, while the men of this country went to go fight the wars, either overseas, in Europe, Pacific or in Korea. So my father originally worked for one or the other. Either he worked originally for the Southern Pacific during World War II, and apparently he worked for the Santa Fe during the Korean War, or vice versa, flip them around. My family kind of seems to have lost that history part of it. But he wasn't an engineer, and he wasn't a conductor, and he was a gandy dancer. Just like me. He was a gandy dancer, and he worked in the track gangs. As a matter of fact, I got a toolbox at home full of all his Southern Pacific and Santa Fe original railroad tools. Hand tools. Oh yeah. Pretty proud of that. Love my grandpa. And my great-grandpa, who I met a few times, barely remember. He was a revolutionary. He fought in the Mexican Revolution for the land that we wound up eventually owning. So yeah, I'm a huge fan. And my grandpa, the stories he did tell me was for the Santa Fe, he worked in Arizona. And he talked about the big giant scorpions that they would find out there. And he would talk about how would they get off to work on the track, and they would have to turn their tools, their shovels and stuff, their picks, their mauls, upside down and bury the handles in the sand with the tool part sticking up. So when you went to reach for your shovel, you wouldn't burn your hands. That's how hot it got out there, he told me. In the Southern Pacific, my grandpa worked right here in the Sunset Route. Where, I don't know exactly. We're pretty much, the town of Beaumont is right dead ahead there. And that's the top, that's the summit. And I'll take you over there and show you the old railroad parts. Bear with me. Thank you for your patience. It's going to be interesting. Stick around. It's only going to take about 5 minutes. 4 or 5 minutes. We are now entering the town or small city of Beaumont, California. Wow. I don't remember any of this stuff. Oh, I guess I do. Nice, quiet, little sleepy town. Pretty much... Usually when the economy booms, for whatever reason, the economy forgets all these little towns out here. Beaumont, Cabazon, Banning. How do I get on that side? Used to be able to just drive right onto the tracks there on the right, but Why take any chances? A lot of former packing houses here that are now being used for some other type of, you know, little factories or something, produce product. But they're still the original little packing houses. There's the actual wooden Southern Pacific depot, and it was a wooden depot, 2-story depot, is gone. But it used to be right here behind these concrete silos. And I think I saw it once upon a time when I first came out here. I just don't remember. But it would have been right there. They didn't have a turntable up here to turn the steamers around. They had a sidetrack, and they had a Y that ran down the street, which we'll go visit right now. Okay. Yeah, I used to be able to drive right in there, but I see they shit canned all the houses that used to be there, and put some sort of companies up there, so we can't drive over there anymore. That's where I used to spend all my summers, Saturdays, with Roger, Bill, Jerry, Al. I don't think Ed ever came out here, but let's take a look. I apologize, we're on the wrong side of the tracks. We're in shadows, but this is the top of the hill, top of Beaumont Hill. This is the summit, right in the middle of the city of Beaumont, California. And where I'm shooting right now, that starts the beginning of the downhill, the downgrade, down into the big massive yard they used to have and still have in the city of Colton, California. But the Southern Pacific 2-story wooden depot was right there where that tree is and those concrete silos. I apologize, I'm in shadow, but I can't get to my old stomping grounds across the tracks anymore. Not unless I want to get a trespassing ticket. The cab forwards, there's a switch there. It's a new switch stand, but once upon a time it was the old lantern type, the tall ones. They'd cut the cab forward helpers off right there. The train would go on to wherever it's going, Palm Springs, and points east. And the cab forwards, and it wasn't just one, they'd be like 2 or 3 of them put together. They would take that siding, which is on the other side of the main there, on a lower level, it's still there, and they'd park the cab forwards right there, where those trees are. You can still see one palm tree right there, way in the distance. And it's dying also. Once upon a time, when I first started coming out here, but once upon a time in the days of steam, there was a whole bunch of palm trees just like that, right over there on that side. And there was an ESPEE water tank right there. And they'd top off the tenders of the cab forwards. I think they had oil tanks up here, I'm not sure, but I doubt it. That'd be down in the city of Colton. There was a wire that went down that little residential street. The other side of those buildings went down about half a mile, and they turn them. Now they're pointing on the wire will go on the other side of the street there, behind that gray building. They'd wait for another train to come by. They'd hook them on the rear, and they'd go start the descent down Beaumont Hill, which is quite a descent, and it's really, really long. Helpers are a must, even today. I've actually seen in modern times, about 14 years ago, a runaway. It scared the shit out of me, but the engineers on board were even more scared. So this is where I spent my youth and my railroading days with a whole bunch of awesome railroading buddies. Other than Bill and Al, everybody else is pretty much gone. But it made an impact on my life. Thank you for sharing. I don't want to get too close to the tracks. That's a Union Pacific. When they knocked down the station behind me, the depot, the offices and the radio rooms and the engineer locker rooms and all that stuff, they moved them to a cinder block building. This was built in the 50s, by the way. Right there. That's there. And we'll drive by. Forgive me if I'm rambling and I'm giving a poor impression of a Hugh Hauser moment, but holy smokes, man, everybody out here loves Hugh Hauser. My mom adores Hugh Hauser. I freaking love the guy. Rest in peace, Hugh Hauser. So all these are now Union Pacific Railroad facilities, but they were built for the ESPEE once upon a time, and back in the 50s. I love that metal working bench. If they want to throw that thing away, I'd love to have that. So the tracks would, the cab forwards, they had a Y. They didn't have a turntable over here, so they had a Y that went like this down that residential street about half a mile, and that's where they would turn the cab forwards, or any helper. And I guess I'll show you a little bit of that, and then we'll make a U and head on home. Little maintenance yard for the railroad right in front of us there, but it would go down by half a mile. It's all gone and there's no remnants of it, but they turned the locomotives, the helpers, and then they'd head back down the hill. There's a famous picture of Beaumont Hill with a steam train coming down through that curve there, except there was a signal bridge, a cantilever signal bridge there. It's black and white, and the mountain in the back, San Gregorio, had snow on it. It's a very famous picture, but it was shot right there behind all that junk that wasn't there once upon a time. You guys take care. So thank you for being patient. I love you. Have a great 4th of July, and thank you for joining me.